Well, I'm starting my first brew day. Still trying to get this thing tuned in. Overshot my acid rest temp. So I'm recirculating right now, basically just trying to get it to cool off. And doing some stirring as well toward that end. And then I'll be dumping in this bucket of grain, which will bring the temperature down a little bit as well, for a little bit of an acid rest before I move up to my sack rest temperature. We got the water recirculating, and in the middle of that elbow is the temperature probe. And so we're going to go ahead and throw our grain in. Alright, so we've got our grain in and mixed, got our lid back down. I toned down the recirculation just a little bit because sometimes people have problems when they recirculate too quickly of the water not draining through the bag filter, this mesh filter, fast enough. So I've got that turned down a little bit to just make sure we don't have problems with that, because the pumps will run into issues if they don't have enough water feeding them. That's not good. So because of that, we can just turn down the pump to give it time to drain once it returns into the top. Our temperature's doing a bit better. Actually got a bit low for a little while just because all this mixing everything around, you'll lose some heat. But you see we're trying to go for 133, and we're at 132 and 0.1 and climbing, which is close enough for this rest temperature. And then you can see here this output indicator is going to flash whenever the element is actually on. It's not flashing right now because we're so close. We know we need to slow down. Just flash every once in a while. Yeah, there it's going a little bit more. But it doesn't want to overshoot like it did earlier, so it's trying not to do that. So we got that set, and we'll let it rest for a few minutes here for a protein rest, not an acid rest. And then we'll be able to go ahead and move up to our sacrification rest at 150. Well, we've been sitting at our protein rest long enough here. We're going to come over to our PID, and we're going to bump our temperature up. We're going to look for a sacrification rest at 150. So what I want to do is actually, got too far there, just to make sure we don't overshoot. I'm going to set it for a bit lower temperature. Yeah, somewhere like 145. And I've got an alarm set. It's going to tell me, should tell me when we get close to that. Actually, I'll go set this alarm here, and you can notice coming on a little bit more often. Try to get this temperature moving. Alright, we're still moving, still recirculating to try and hold an even temperature. We're getting really close to what I actually want it to be, and my alarm went off. I had adjusted the temperature up because it wasn't getting there fast enough, and so I was trying to trick it. I've had to babysit this a little bit. So that basically just means, you can see this light says the alarm went off. Basically I'll have to go in and maybe manually tune some of the parameters. I did an auto tune, but it's not worked very well. But when I got to about 146, I went ahead and started my mash time. And so we've been there for going on 4 minutes. And hopefully here we'll hold a nice steady mash temperature and won't really overshoot this 150. But if we do, we spend a little bit of time ramping up to that temperature that'll hopefully compensate for it a little bit. So, well, as you can see, we're more than 9 minutes in since we started the sacrification rest. I've been babysitting this a little bit. It was overshooting the temperature, so I cranked it down to 148 to get it to kind of quit giving it so much heat. and that seemed to do it. So when it got down about to 150 again, I just kind of bumped my temperature back up to 150 here, and it looks like obviously we're holding really close to that desired 150 degree mash temp, which will hold for an hour for the saccharification rest, and from there move on to mash out and boil. Now I've got about 4 minutes left in the hour-long saccharification rest, and I'm just going to take this opportunity to go ahead and start bumping my temperature up to a mash out, which I'll leave it at for a few minutes. And then after that I'll drain the grain. Not really sure there's probably much benefit of doing the mash out with the grain in there, but we'll go ahead and start heading up toward 170. Alright, so we're moving towards the mash out. Just about done with our time here. Yep, done. Getting close. That temperature's ramping up quick, and it's time to use our little pulley here to raise and hold the grain. Alrighty, we've got our little locking clip, ratcheting clip that will hold that bag up now, hold the basket with the bag up. It's suspended just above the boil kettle. We're now in manual mode, giving 100% power, and you can see the temperature dropped a bit. It's also possibly not properly mixed because we're not recirculating anymore. But we can see down inside here, get a little bit of light. Just getting some drips. We got our thermometer just in there, and then again here we got some drips going just to that grain is draining. And then this is going to be coming up to a boil, and so we'll wait for that, and then we'll go ahead with our hop additions. Well, really quickly, we're getting up to boil temps. This reading is actually not very accurate. If we move our temperature probe around, see we've got higher temperatures at different spots, especially if you hold it right up next to the thing. You can also notice the foam is starting, slowed down to a trickle. It seems this bag drains better if I actually pull the bag up, so in the future I may leave the basket in, at least for the time being, and lift the bag out by this and see if that maybe works and drains a little faster. What I'm going to do next is get this whole thing out of here, put the bag to drain in a little bucket, and get this little makeshift vent hood, clear Tupperware-ish thing over here, mount that up here so I can vent the steam once the boil starts. And then once the boil starts, we'll adjust this power down. Well, you can hear that fan running. Got this little makeshift vent through some flex duct, which is probably not the best, into the fan, and out over here where the dryer would go out. Move down to 50% boil. You can see it's just rolling a little bit. And I'm going to add my hops and start the boil timer. Nice big kettle with a smaller batch like this, and I will not have to worry about boilovers one stinking bit. So now we wait until the end of the boil. Alright, we got just a few minutes left in the boil. I've reconfigured my hoses. Go ahead and open this valve up here, and then this valve up here. We'll be recirculating through the chiller now. And then sort of filtering through this strainer bag. And what this will do is just sanitize this inside of this chiller where the wort will travel, because we don't want to chill it down into something that's going to get it infected. So we'll let this run for the last 5 minutes. And again, this is just recirculating. Kind of slow that boil down. I might kick that element up a notch. You know, just so we can monitor the temperature of the work coming out of the chiller. I'm also just going to stick this temperature probe down in here as well. I'm going to get sanitized in the boil for just a little bit. And we'll let this go, maybe boil an extra few minutes to make up for this. And make sure everything gets nice and sanitized. And then we'll start transferring into our fermentation vessel. Alright, so we're coming up on the end of the boil any second now. Just open up my fermenter. Got that star sand foam in there, nice and sanitized. I'm gonna kill power to the element, so no more boil. We got this recirculation valve right here. I'm going to kill power to that, kill the flow. I'm going to come over here and turn on our cold water supply for the chiller. And that will start chilling. Put in some hot water straight down the drain. And what we'll do is take this hose here. I've been using this in the recirculation. This is coming from the output of the chiller. It's quite hot. I'll stick that in here. Our camera around. Now what we'll do is we'll also get this temperature sensor, which has also been sanitized in the boil. Stick that in here. Make sure those are sanitized by the boil, and then we'll start slowly giving some flow here. Filling up our fermenter. And this should quickly be cooling off. Seems pretty warm still. So we can just ease off here. We got full flow of cold water coming in to the chiller over here. And right now, just as we drain here, coming in at 76 degrees. We can, well, it's getting even colder, it looks like. Adjust that up and down a little bit by just controlling how fast we drain. The longer time it spends in the chiller, inside a copper coil in here with cold water running over it, the longer it spends in there, the longer time it's going to have to chill and get colder. So hoping to pitch around 70 degrees, and looks like we're headed in that direction as we go. And again, if for whatever reason I didn't want to be down to 70, or if it starts getting way down in the 60s, I can speed it up and just drain a little quicker. And here we obviously see everything draining out. Getting some cold break here. Just open it up just a smidge as we are chilling. Now we're getting cold, we can open it up and drain a little bit faster. Now I'm going to put the camera down. I'm probably going to tip this kettle over to get as much out of there as I can, out of that kettle, so I don't leave any precious beer behind. But that's basically it.